So, the purpose of this series is to begin to have a conversation about how embodiment can really um, just get us in tune with our bodies and bring us that sense of wellness, wholeness, and autonomy. And so today we're going to cover um, how what does having a sense of autonomy look like, and how does being embodied support that process. We're going to take a look at power and anger as a fuel for change. And then we're going to end with a bit of an embodiment practice, which you can practice on your own throughout the week. Okay. So, as I said before, my name is Susanna. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, board certified dance movement therapist, and I am the founder of Bodywise Psychotherapy, where we go beyond traditional talk therapy to offer an embodied approach to counseling. And you can check that out in the description of any of these posts. You can go to my website if you want to learn more. So, as a board certified dance movement therapist, one of the main foundational principles is that the mind and the body are linked, they are connected. And we see this simply by noticing how, for example, the brain works, and how emotions, thoughts, and sensations in the body are all linked together. They're all correlated. We also see this in many conditions and diseases that are triggered by mental health, by stress, which can be stress. What is stress? It can be defined by cortisol in the body, right? Um, Emotions are linked to sensations and parts of your body, right? So, when you say that you love someone, or when you're going through, let's say, a breakup or some kind of heartbreak, literally there is a pain that happens in your chest. Hi, Myra. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hi, love. We're just getting started. Um, so there is a foundational principle that the mind and the body are one. They are connected. They affect one and the other, right? So, let's take a moment to kind of feel into that now, right? So, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this later, pause what you're doing, take a breath. We're going to practice a bit of a focusing technique. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale through the mouth. And just connect with your breath for a few moments. And as you do this, just see if there's a certain sensation or part of the body that in this moment is standing out to you. And bring your awareness there. And take it a step further and acknowledge that sensation or body part within your mind. Say hello. Hello. And just notice if there's any shift, or if there's any changes in that sensation. There may be or there may not be. Just notice. And then you can take it a step further and see if there's anything, just anything that that sensation or part of the body is associated with. Any image or visual or feeling or memory, sound, smell, anything at all. And maybe there is, maybe there isn't, and that's okay either way. No judgment here. But just feel into that for a few more seconds. And then finish off by saying thank you. Say thank you to that sensation and that body part. Yeah. And take a moment and observe what was that like for you? What did it feel like? Right? And so this technique, this focusing technique, which can be either facilitated or self-facilitated, to self-healing technique. I'll post if anybody's interested, I'll post in the comments the book Focusing, if anybody wants to learn more. This is a wonderful example of how when we listen to our bodies, okay, we gain a sense of autonomy. Okay. It's a reminder that this is my body. This is my body mind system. Okay. Regardless of what's going on in the world. Okay. Regardless of what is even going on in your home life, right? Any external information, right? Any external influence that might be happening for you, right? You can always go within. You can always go within and listen. Okay. Listen and respond. Okay. So a lot of times we hear our body. We might have to go to the bathroom. We might have a pain here, a pain there. We might not be sleeping well, whatever the case may be. We hear our aches and pains. We hear what the body's saying, but are we listening? Are we listening? And I want to propose that it sounds so simple, right? Listening to our bodies. That is the doorway to self autonomy. And by autonomy, I mean regaining our power, taking our power back. Okay. When we listen to our body and we respond and we honor our body, honor the feelings that are flowing through, honor the sensations, honor the wisdom, the body wisdom that is there, we access that information. Okay. We are then better able to heal ourselves, but also to access joy and access pleasure and access these body mind states that can essentially give us a more fulfilling life, a more fulfilling life. Okay. So, in what ways can you practice that awareness, that body awareness, right? In order to increase that self autonomy. Okay. Question for you to hold. Now, what does the body have to do with power? What does the body have to do with power? You know, the topic of today's talk is your body, your power. Okay. So essentially, this is a reminder that we are all in charge of our bodies, okay, and everything having to do with them, but also that we can access the power that we all hold within when we do so. Okay. So, what is power? What is power? Are we talking about physical strength? Maybe, maybe we're talking about physical strength, right? Are we talking about the power to think? Are we talking about the mind? Are we talking about um, the power that our mind has? Yeah. Also, are we talking about the power of our emotions? Absolutely. So, body, mind, and emotions. If you want to add another layer, our spiritual power as well, right? So, power is multidimensional. Okay. And in this particular talk, we're looking at how body awareness, being body wise, body woke, whatever you want to say, body full, as Christine Caldwell will say, um, it then leads the way to accessing our power. Okay. Now, to take it a step further, I offer that the emotion, the specific emotion of anger, and embodying that anger in a conscious and effective way, that's powerful. That's powerful. Okay. Without anger, there wouldn't be change. Without anger, there wouldn't be change. Okay. Anger is simply an emotion, it's simply a signal that your body mind system is sending you. It's sending you that signal. It doesn't define you, but it's a part of you. And how can we use that energy, that particular quality, to create change? Okay. Personal change, okay, and collective change. They're one and the same. They're one and the same. So when something pisses you off, and how does it feel like in your body? How does it feel like in your body? Maybe you write it in the comments, right? What are the qualities, the somatic, the body qualities of anger? Okay, it might be different for everyone, but what are the qualities of anger? Okay, you might feel muscle tension. You might feel your body expand, take up more space. You might feel it in your chest. You might feel it in your gut. The face, what happens in the face? You might frown. You might show your teeth. Okay, we're tuning into that primal sense, right? And anger can sometimes be scary, right? Can sometimes, for some, it could be there can be a hesitancy to go there, to feel our anger, let alone to express it. Okay. Um, However, what I'm proposing is that when we make friends with our anger, when we learn to relate to our anger, when we learn to wield our anger, it can be a powerful thing. Okay. So, how do we do it in a body wise way? How do we do it while tuning in to our bodies? Well, how do we embody anger? Okay. Well, the first thing is awareness, right? Awareness of what anger feels like. Okay. So, that's why I'm asking these questions. What does it feel like? What part of your body is engaged? What movements does your body instinctively want to do? What is the action urge with anger for you? Okay. And secondly, after awareness comes practice. So we often think, okay, um, practice embodying anger. Yes. All right. So with practice comes that sense of familiarity, comes that sense of mastery. So the purpose of that is to help us um, not be so afraid of our anger, not be so afraid, because there's power there, right? Now I have to mention, because I haven't been explicit, and I have to mention that if we look at the history of marginalized folks, and I'm talking on many dimensions, right, in the dimension of race, gender, ability, um, sexuality, all of that, right? um Oftentimes what are we told about our anger? Calm down, hush, right? So there's, generally speaking, as part of the patriarchal, as part of the dominant culture, the oppressive system that we live in, anger is what? Suppressed. Anger is suppressed. It is not encouraged. Fear, however, is encouraged, right? Because fear is also a part of control. Right? So, under that logic, under that understanding, then we can understand that when, as a marginalized person, as a person that has a part of you that identifies as marginalized in some way, if there's a part of your identity that is marginalized, then that means that when you embody anger, you're automatically going against the status quo, and you are shifting that power dynamic. You're shifting that power dynamic. Okay? You are taking your power back. So, how do we channel anger in a way that is not just destructive for no reason, right? In an ineffective way. Because destruction itself, I mean, the destruction of there are certain things we want to destroy, right? There are certain things we want to get rid of. Okay, so, but how do we do it effectively? Okay, and I think it all comes back to how does it feel in your body, and how do we get comfortable with that, and how do we feel confident with that? Okay, so even in the case of, if we don't want to be so collective and political, even we want to be more personal, even in the case of relationships and partnerships. Okay, is anger allowed? Hello, welcome in. And how do you express your anger? Is your anger held? Okay, um are you able to express it and it be heard? Okay, so I want to practice today a couple of things, and we'll shift into that. Before we shift into an embodiment practice, I want to just thank everyone who's watching, whether it's live or later. If you can engage with this content, tap the screen, share the live, hit that like button, subscribe, share, all of those beautiful things. And I will be back on at 11 a.m. on Monday. Every Monday at 11 a.m. I'll be here talking about a different thing. Next week, we're going to talk about anxiety, and how do we apply an embodiment approach to managing and dealing with anxiety. Okay, but today we're talking about power. Okay, and so I welcome any comments, any questions, any comments, any thoughts. Please post it, even if it is later, because I will respond to them. Okay. So let's shift now into an embodiment practice. Okay, a few different ways to work with anger. Okay, the first thing is understanding that anger can be, going to use a metaphor here that we can embody. Okay, anger can be related to fire. Okay, it can be related to fire. So I want you to imagine that your breath, okay, that your breath and your movements, okay, are like a flame, are like a flame. And we're going to visualize a flame, okay, maybe in front of us or within us. If you have a candle, you can use that. And I want everybody to kind of, first of all, shift into just being aware of your body, taking a few breaths. And as we inhale, imagine that flame getting bigger and bigger, and use your arms. Welcome in. Use your arms to make that flame and that fire very big. And as we exhale, we bring everything back to center. And we imagine that flame getting very small as it can be, almost to the point where it might go out, but it's not. Okay? And we're just going to do that a few times, holding that visual, inhaling deeply, widening that flame, using the arms and the hands. Expanding that fire. And as we exhale, bringing it in, bringing it all back to your core, back to center. One more. Inhale. And bring it back in. Good. Okay. So the next time that you feel triggered and you feel that anger rising, try it. Try that exercise out. Okay. And for the next one, I am going to invite everyone to stand up. You're going to stand up. And first of all, we're going to get into a nice, strong, stable stance. Legs wide, okay, pretty wide, a little bit wider than hip distance apart if that feels right to you. And really press those feet into the ground. Hi, Alicia, welcome. And you just in time, we're practicing ways to wield our anger here in an embodied way. Yes, pressing those feet into the floor, bending through the knees just a bit to give you that stability. And I want everybody to just feel that stability. Feel that stability. Maybe you feel it in your thighs, maybe you feel it in your calves, your knees, your hips. Yes, breathing into that, breathing into that. And we're going to use the voice. We're going to use the voice. Okay. So imagine that you are hitting something in front of you. Okay. So we're going to channel that anger through movement. And we're going to use a forceful and quick movement with our arms, feeling the strength in our arms. Yes. And as we do that, I'm going to invite you to use your voice and say, ha, right? Really loud. Really let it come from within. Let it come from within. Okay. And we'll just do that a few times. Inhale deeply. Ha, 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 ha. And take a nice deep breath. Maybe we open the arms. Bring it back to center and just notice. Notice your body. Notice how that felt. Notice your energy levels. Notice your heartbeat. Okay, what was that like for you? Okay. Yes. Yes. And the other way that we can wield this anger, this power within us, within our bodies, okay, is also by using our voice. And this time we're going to tune into our, again, our primal sense, our animalistic sense. And we're going to roar. We're going to roar. Okay. And so the next time you get angry, try this out. Okay. So again, stable stance, pressing into the floor, bending the knees. Yeah. And we're going to inhale. And as we exhale, we're just going to roar. All right. Try it with me. Inhale. Roar. Yeah. 2 more. Inhale. Roar. Good. Louder is the loudest one. Ready? Roar. Good. And taking a breath. Feeling your body. Noticing sensation. Perhaps noticing which parts of your body are activated. And we're going to end by, now that we have moved that energy and released some of it, hopefully, maybe channeled it into something. Now we can come back to a sense of groundedness and neutrality, finding stillness, and just taking a few breaths. Thanking yourself, thanking your body for being present with that emotion, with that energy. And knowing that at any time, at any point, you can do this. You can listen to your body and respond accordingly. Okay. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. I am going to be, whether you're watching this on Facebook or on Instagram or YouTube, Make sure to show some love in any way that you like. Drop a comment, share it, follow me, subscribe. And I will be back next Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. I appreciate you all so much. Mwah. Take care. Have a lovely, lovely day. Bye.